everyone. I'm Mallory Burrell. I'm a graduating MFA candidate from James Madison University. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, in lieu of the traditional artist talk and gallery exhibition, I've created this short artist film documenting some of my works from the past few years and giving an in-depth look at the works that would have been in the exhibition at Duke Hall Gallery of Fine Art. I hope you enjoy. Upon moving to Harrisonburg, Virginia, I discovered Black's Run, a stream that would follow me from my apartment to my studio and even to the park that suited me best for running. In each place, I witnessed how much trash pollution flowed into it from the city's storm drains. So, in time, I came to partner with it, spending hours cleaning out debris, enjoying the scenery tucked in within the city. There is a road that links me to my studio where I traverse often, and one day I noticed a piece of old plastic that had shriveled up and taken shape resembling a moth. And within this discovery, my practice shifted. There was something uncanny in just how lifelike it was at first glance. And so I pocketed it, glanced around to find a material that would blend well to fabricate into antennae. And this became the first of many moths I would make from debris. The immediacy of the material and the joy and the spontaneity of the creation were significant and acted as a catalyst for incorporating found detritus into my work. Building off this initial discovery, I created the floor installation Insects of the Anthropocene. Viewers are invited to actively engage in the discovery of camouflaged insects made from road detritus. In the quest of parsing out what is insect, there is an Alexis Rockman-inspired key for the viewer, indicating the specimens and their location within the installation. And it was at this time that I really began to consider what hybridization between organic and artificial matter could look like. That summer I happened to stumble upon 3 bizarre flower formations on the side of an embankment. And it turned out they were not flowers at all, but instead 3 stick-like plants had amassed a collection of organic matter and plastic detritus at their tops. I was not sure what to think of them, so I took my pocket knife and cut them. Back in my studio, I photographed them, and they became the first of 3 specimens of the series, Flowers of the Anthropocene. I've collected and photographed over 50 specimens, each given pseudo-scientific names and presented mainly as photographs. And in the naming of these new hybrid flowers, many of them use the term or descriptor poly. Names such as Polyphlaus folentina and Polyphlaus botanum directly reference the polyethylene, the most common plastic, found within them. The flowers are examples of a changed and changing environment, and my contribution comes only in the form of documentation and assigning nomenclature. I was extremely influenced by Chris Jordan's Albatross project and went about documenting my flowers similarly without any manipulation. They are evidence of a hybrid landscape that straddles 2 plateaus. Bringing the notions of artificial and natural hybridity to a different medium, I began exploring with plastic bags as creatures and performers for my film. When activated, the plastic appears to be a living aquatic creature, coming in and out of the scenes there are overlays of microscopic organisms from the original water samples collected from the bags themselves. I was fascinated by the idea of transforming bags into performers and finding the performers within the bags. Black's Run is flowing with plastic bags, and I find heaps of them. Perhaps the future organisms in the stream will come to mirror the waste that occupies it. And so as I was continuing on, I was investing time recording wildlife as well as archiving trash, and I began to meld the 2 pursuits, and videos like this resulted. I was taking the imagery gleaned from packages and advertisements that I was fishing out of the stream and using them heavily to create new compositions. Some works are made entirely of digital collage trash, while other elements of the real world are interspersed within the compositions. I began experimenting with portraits, and I quickly shifted into making landscape works. These landscapes, a few shades removed from any actual place, allow for narrative and imagination to enter the realm. I engage in practices that are not entirely sustainable. Every time I use my digital equipment or print my collages, I recognize that I too am extending my footprint while creating work about a collective footprint. I continue to work with both digital and print media while being conscious of the contradictions embedded in or as a result of my practice. However, I do work to find ways to reduce the hypocrisy in my materials. For example, in my installation Debris Nation, I used chalk to recreate my digital collage, Utopia. Each element in the composition was given its own number based on the trash it was extracted from, and is presented as a large key. 7 of the 21 pieces of trash are presented below the chalked landscape and serve as an avenue for the viewer to engage and mentally recreate the landscape. Using 5 found Deer Park water bottle labels, I recreated a landscape featuring countless weathered waterfalls that cascade into one another, flooding the scene at the bottom. Tainting the inherent beauty in the landscape is a barrage of plastic water bottles. This piece and the other digitally collaged landscape I generate are trashscapes of today. I began amassing a new collection of packages that I was displaying on my studio walls. This installation was to be the centerfold piece of the exhibition and acts as a lifeline to the other works. The packages have an abject quality because of the weathered grit that accumulates on their surfaces. However, the deceptive advertising and its myriad of falsehoods, bright colors, and entertaining spokes-characters are still undeniably attractive. Going further into the exhibition, the sounds from the film Polyrhizomatic Nematota is likely to catch one's attention next. On the way, viewers would pass a lifeless specimen they see engaging with one another in the film. Each at the scale of a human, situated slightly above the viewer, the specimen appear confrontational. Circling around, next viewers would engage with the drawings in the exhibition. These drawings emerge from a byproduct-filled landscape that is becoming just as familiar as the traditional natural world. Pseudoscientific nomenclature is assigned to the different drawn specimen, and the classifications are indicative of a split species in names such as Castora caco, or the chocolate chip beaver, or Ursus glucose, horizontally bear. The drawing portion of the compositions are reminiscent of early wildlife and botanical natural history sketches and prints. The warm material of the packaging and the quality of grit become magnified at this larger scale. Upon approaching the stream in the scrap collector, the scale of the work overpowers the viewer. Stretching 20 feet wide and 12 feet high, the landscape allows viewers to get lost in the details, textures, and vistas I find myself captivated by. Influenced by the Poland Spring water bottle label, filled with mountains and trees and water, this piece is tainted by a pipe that is expelling trash. In its entirety, the composition is filled with trickery. For example, those rocks are actually made from tissue wrappers. The composition functions as a self-portrait of my artistic practice as a system. The power in these collages is that they are entirely generated by waste in my hand in its excavation. I am a collector and world maker. Above, below, and within, I explore where water traverses, and the strata comes to meet it. I am a millennial living a hybrid existence of convenience and uncertainty. I am an artist on the hunt for places where the artificial and organic meet. I am a composer of hybrid creatures and an archivist of scrap. In my practice, beauty meets disgust, and the works I create are in response to the landscapes that I roam and the objects that I collect. If searching, you may find me weeding the in-between, where wilderness meets culture. Thank you for your time, and I hope you've enjoyed looking through some of my work from the past few years. If you have any questions or would like to see any more of my work, please visit my website, MalloryBurrell.com. Thank you, and I hope you've enjoyed.